Levantaron la mandarina.
Yo llegué a agarrar
¿Llegaste a agarrar?
una galletita, pero después cuando fui a darme vuelta para buscar café,
Yo ni la mía por una mandarina.
Llegaste a buscar la cosa y no la...
llegué a comerme un par de bejoncitos y nos quedamos charlando. Y cuando voy a buscar el café,
Ah,
no
ya no
había
pasa por ahí.
nada, no había nada. Entonces creo que estaba ahí mientras estaban todos en la sala.
Boyana dijo que sacaron la cosa, dijo así, no, pero para hablar menos...
¿Quién dijo?
Boyana.
Dijo la
Entonces, qué ver,
no sería nuestro caso.
nosotros hablamos con los jóvenes. Bueno, chicos.
Bueno, vamos a comenzar este último gran bloque. ¿Pasaron bien la tarde? Oh.
That was not too loud. Did you have a good time this afternoon? Okay, great. So, with all this power, we are going to start this session because we need to have a celebration atmosphere here. So now let's give a loud show of hands to all the panelists and all the moderators that have taken part in the panels and the workshops for the last 2 afternoons. Since this is a festive event, a round of applause for each of you who have been participating here, who have collaborated with us, who have contributed with your thoughts. And we spent 2 days highlighting certain aspects, and all presentations, all speakers said that students have a leading role in all service learning projects. So, now, in this session, we have the students with us. They will share a message with us on behalf of the 50 students that met this afternoon. So let's receive them, let's welcome them with a show of hands. They have gathered to talk, to discuss, to think together. 50 students from 8 institutions. We have with us Leandro Cardoso, Santiago Lorenzo, Luján Goni, and Catarina Texido. And with them is Charo. Charo, it's such a pleasure to have you here. And she will also make a few contributions. So, if you agree, we will now give the floor to them because they have been working hard and they want to share with us the following message. Good afternoon. I'm Catalina Texido. After the discussion held between students and class leaders, we reached the following conclusions. First, we would like to highlight the importance of updating curricula and syllabuses so that they can be in line with reality and can be functional and useful in our daily lives. Secondly, we believe it is important secondly, we believe it is important for the various contents to be addressed from different methodologies and teaching methods leading to meaningful learning and therefore motivation to learn. Thirdly, we understand the school as a space of asymmetrical relations. However, we suggest that there should be mutual understanding, promoting trust in the work that teachers do and the work that students do. Taking into account the 3 points, we commit ourselves to strengthening the understanding and the dialogue between teachers and students. We also request an affectionate dialogue in the stage of life we are going through. Thank you for listening to us. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to share a few thoughts with you in this closing session for the conference. The thoughts that I want to share with you have been influenced by some contents of a book that is called Dignos de Ser Humanos by Richard Bregman. In this book, I found a source of inspiration that sheds light on the strength of service learning. So let's talk about this. Service learning empowers us in light of big challenges, climate change, inequality, the culture of hatred. It brings us out of our silos of our individual positions and our cynical positions. As Maria Nieves said at the opening of this conference, service learning involves feet, not just the hearts, hands, and heads. It forces us to leave a selfish place. It forces us to grow in trust. And we need trust so much. We need to nourish trust because today there is a temptation to be pessimistic, a huge temptation. And this leads us to thinking that everything is lost, that everything is useless, that we are about to collapse, and that human beings are responsible for all tragedies. However, just like Bregman says, this is not true. Most people are good people. Believing in human kindness is not a sign of being naive. And that means being realistic and being brave. It is true that evil is powerful, but good is even more abundant. The good deeds triumph over evil deeds. And as Jorge San Martin said, we need to vow to protect the garden of people that is the world. So let's debunk some myths that surround service learning and people who engage in service learning. First, we are not just a few. We are not a handful of people. We are not a group of enlightened people, chosen or weird people, beings of light. We are just ordinary people, and we are many. As Daniela Gargantini reminded us, we are a growing number of people, and we have a multiplying effect because each service learning project is like a stone in a pond that extends everywhere. Perhaps we are no longer the invisible global movement that Maria Nieves was talking about. Let us not forget that service learning has grown because we have never and will never be fundamentalists or Talibans in this field. It has grown because, as Esteban Mena said, good things are replicated, and we are a community of people who like to copy what others do. It has grown because, as Andy Furco said, we have also looked at what is intangible, not just what can be touched, measured, or seen. It has grown because we have not been afraid of losing control. We have not established any copyright, as Alberto Croce said this afternoon. Secondly, we are not alone. From other areas that do not have to do necessarily with education, there are voices and hands raised that we should join. Civil society organizations, popular movements, labor movements, activists, public administrations at the local, national, or international level. The document prepared by UNESCO, Reimagining Together Our Futures, can now be a new source of inspiration for us all, because it pushes us to establish a new social contract. Thirdly, we are not experimenting with methodological innovations, because service learning is not just a methodology. It is also a philosophy aimed at the common good. And it is a community development strategy. As Alejandro Gimelli said, we have not chosen service learning as a methodological option, but rather as a fully educational option, Juan Carlos Tedesco, in the initial video in this conference, reminded us that service learning is not just an educational project, but actually a society project. Fourth, we were not born yesterday. We are not a group of crazy people, or we are not a group of babies. So let's be adults. Let's do it, because service practices have a long tradition already in our countries, and also because the people here are celebrating the 20th anniversary of CLAYSS and the 25 years of an international conference and public policies to promote service learning. So the truth is that when I was thinking about the 20th anniversary of CLAYSS, I remembered one of the first songs, one of the best ones in my opinion, by Joan Manuel Serrat, Ara que tinc 20 anys, now that I am 20 years old. That is how the song goes. The speaker is singing. I should stop now, but I think that all of you have understood what I said. We have proven that. Now that I'm 20, now that I still have strength, now that my soul is still alive and I feel my blood pouring, perfect. We have passed the first course. The history of pedagogy of the 21st century will undoubtedly pick up the contributions of service learning, the approach of the liberation movement in Latin America, and the freedom that is contagious and transmitted by CLAYSS and this conference. CLAYSS has turned these events into a global community. Every country has taken ownership of service learning in its own way, and we continue to grow together. As Charma said this morning, it is impossible to be more global than this. But let me finish by making a personal confession. I think it was 2004. I visited for the first time this conference, and that visit changed my life. I fully identify myself with Bojana when she said that she felt that another eye had grown. Your ethical fiber, your energy, determination, perseverance, and optimism, despite the crisis that seemed to affect Argentina all the time, touched my heart in an unforgettable way. So attending the annual conferences has turned into a vital need for me, not just for training purposes. I have always said that. It is also a need to nourish my personal joy. It is pure selfishness. With you, I was able to build enough trust and courage to jump without a parachute out of a plane to promote service learning. With you, I had the opportunity to make friends with extraordinary people, not only in Argentina, but also in Mexico, the US, Colombia, Chile, Uruguay, Peru, Ecuador, and other countries. With you, I have experienced up to what point it is healthy and nutritional to get closer to people who transpire kindness, people who are fully devoted to a cause, and at the same time laugh loud about nonsense. People who are capable, as Roberto González said, of putting an eye on the microscope and another eye on the telescope. With you, I feel that I'm a member of an authentically fraternal community that has no borders. I feel that we share much more than what we say. The truth is that it seems utopian, it seems a dream, but we cannot afford to relax, to rest on our laurels. So everybody needs to start training, because as a Spanish Paralympic athlete, Rafa Botello, says, dreams are not fulfilled. Dreams are trained for. Thank you, CLAYSS, for training us with so much love, dedication, and patience over all these years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charo, Catalina, Luján, Santiago, Leandro. Thank you so much for sharing those words, those thoughts, your enthusiasm, your strength, and the engagement and the commitment to keep walking together. And now we would like to share with you a video that we prepared especially to celebrate these first 20 years at CLAYSS. We invite we're going to ask the technical team to turn off the lights of the stage, and we will invite the board of CLAYSS, Nieves Tapia, Enrique Ochoa, Luz Abu, Alejandro Ginelli, María Rosa Tapia. Origin and foundation.
Vamos a parar un segundito y ver si logramos resolver la cuestión del sonido.
Esto pasa en las mejores familias, ¿o no?
This happens even in the best families, right?
Claro, 3 veces.
Con nuestra visión de que nadie es demasiado chico, ni demasiado pobre, ni demasiado especial como para no tener algo que ofrecer a los demás. Y entonces nos dimos cuenta que esto no era algo que quedaba dentro de América Latina, sino que era desde América Latina para el mundo. Nuestra misión es contribuir al crecimiento de una cultura fraterna y participativa en todo el mundo a través de la propuesta pedagógica del aprendizaje y servicio solidario desde una perspectiva latinoamericana. En esta etapa de expansión, en 2014 inauguramos una oficina en Uruguay para consolidar las alianzas y el trabajo desarrollado desde 2002 y desarrollar un programa de promoción del aprendizaje y servicio en colaboración con las autoridades educativas de Uruguay y con la OEI y con lo que ahora es la Red Uruguaya de Aprendizaje y Servicio. En 2016 empezamos nuestro primer programa regional fuera de América Latina para promover el aprendizaje y servicio en Europa Central y Oriental, todo un nuevo desafío. Y en esos años también nacen o se consolidan programas en México, en Colombia en alianza con Educapaz, en Perú en alianza con UNESCO, en Brasil con toda la red brasilera. Y nace también nuestro primer programa temático, el de aprendizaje y servicio en las artes, que trabaja en América Latina y también en algunos otros países del mundo. Ya va a ser casi 3 años, 2 años y medio que empezamos Universidad, que es nuestro primer programa mundial de universidades al servicio. Es un programa que, si bien enfoca prioritariamente en acompañar universidades católicas, es un programa que también ofrece servicios a la educación superior en general, de cualquier confesión o de cualquier tipo en todo el mundo. Dentro de este periodo de expansión que está viviendo CLAYSS, de alguna manera la pandemia nos desafió y nos ayudó. Entonces, la verdad que hayamos podido aprender de lo que pasó, escribir sobre lo que pasó, generar publicaciones sobre lo que pasó, hacer 2 seminarios internacionales virtuales sobre lo que estaba pasando, a mí me pone muy orgullosa de CLAYSS y de nuestro equipo y de nuestra comunidad de aprendizaje. Este año, además de cumplir los 20 años de CLAYSS, estamos cumpliendo 25 años de seminarios internacionales en Buenos Aires. Y a lo que nosotros apostamos es a generar un movimiento que desencadene cambios culturales de fondo. Así que va a llevar tiempo. Seguramente ha sido el equipo de CLAYSS, la comunidad que pudimos construir. Eso sin duda ha sido una clave del éxito. Pero en definitiva me parece que lo que hace que todo crezca es que el aprendizaje de servicio funciona. Para todas las problemáticas que tiene hoy el mundo, desde el calentamiento global hasta el racismo, desde el analfabetismo hasta la pandemia, hay proyectos de aprendizaje de servicio. Funciona que podemos cambiar algo en el mundo y definitivamente estamos cambiando la educación. Años también nacen o se consolidan programas en México, en Colombia en alianza con Educapaz, en Perú en alianza con UNESCO, en Brasil con toda la red brasilera. Y nace también nuestro primer programa temático, el de aprendizaje y servicio en las artes, que trabaja en América Latina y también en algunos otros países del mundo. Ya va a ser casi 3 años, 2 años y medio que empezamos Universidad, que es nuestro primer programa mundial de universidades al servicio. Es un programa que, si bien enfoca prioritariamente en acompañar universidades católicas, es un programa que también ofrece servicios a la educación superior en general, de cualquier confesión o de cualquier tipo en todo el mundo. Dentro de este periodo de expansión que está viviendo CLAYSS, de alguna manera la pandemia nos desafió y nos ayudó. Entonces, la verdad que hayamos podido aprender de lo que pasó, escribir sobre lo que pasó, generar publicaciones sobre lo que pasó, hacer 2 seminarios internacionales virtuales sobre lo que estaba pasando, a mí me pone muy orgullosa de CLAYSS y de nuestro equipo y de nuestra comunidad de aprendizaje. Este año, además de cumplir los 20 años de CLAYSS, estamos cumpliendo 25 años de seminarios internacionales en Buenos Aires. Y a lo que nosotros apostamos es a generar un movimiento que se encadene cambio cultural en el fondo. Así que va a llevar tiempo. Seguramente ha sido el equipo de CLAYSS, la comunidad que pudimos construir, eso sin duda ha sido una clave del éxito. Pero en definitiva me parece que lo que hace que todo crezca es que el aprendizaje de servicio funcione. Para todas las problemáticas que tiene hoy el mundo, desde el calentamiento global hasta el racismo, desde el analfabetismo hasta la pandemia, hay proyectos de aprendizaje de servicio. Funciona que podemos cambiar algo en el mundo y definitivamente estamos cambiando la educación.
Pasamos, bueno, primero les agradecemos la paciencia por el video, esperamos que lo hayan disfrutado. Y entonces ahora el equipo directivo de CLAYSS va a leer los mensajes que recibimos de parte de ustedes, esos mensajes que fueron entregándonos durante el día.
Acá no tenemos guión.
Bien. Estimado equipo CLAYSS, solo agradecer desde IUPA la oportunidad de compartir y mostrarnos que estamos en el camino correcto y que no somos los únicos locos. Que se sumen 20 y más años, que cada vez seamos más hacia un...
I hope we are even more for an education that makes the best out of each one of us for the world that we all deserve. Thank you for these 20 years of dreaming together, sharing passion, commitment, work, hope in a world with more solidarity, more fraternity. What we shared allows us to see the great cultural changes, the revolutions that create deep changes can start from small seeds. Together we are planting oases of hope, like Master Jose, like teacher Jose. There's only 3 ways of doing things: well, wrong, or as CLAYSS does it. Keep pushing. Guido Busal from Chaco. I feel my heart and my brain are so much richer that my hands will definitely continue acting towards service learning with renewed energy and motivation. I grew so much as professional and personally, and I'm happy of being part of this global family of CLAYSS y Mina. Thank you for showing another possibility to keep giving wings to my students. Happy anniversary. I'm so grateful. Congratulations for the academic level, respect for diversity, the excellent presentations and the level of the presentations. And in the future, I wish you, I hope you can keep growing together and creating new networks for social service learning.
Thank you, CLAYSS, for being a platform and an instrument of spreading love, solidarity and hope to communities and educational institutions. God bless you and more power.
Thank you for sharing those words. And now we're going to invite Adriana Weschler, consultant from the Child and Youth Orchestra from the Ministry of Education of Argentina, and Nicolas Hauer, the director of the orchestra we are going to listen to in a few minutes. And this orchestra, after these words, is the Child and Youth Orchestra Fuego Azul of the National University of Avellaneda. Good afternoon, and particularly CLAYSS, thank you for the invitation. I bring the greetings from the Ministry of Education of Argentina, the Deputy Secretariat of Culture and Social Action has, fortunately, the National Program of Orchestras and Choirs, the Child and Youth Orchestras and Choir, that with Master Spector has promoted choirs, orchestras, ensembles throughout our country. Unfortunately, this promotes the fact that with the creation of these spaces, the school grows in arts, but also essentially we leverage from arts values such as school reinsertion and many of the things that you've mentioned already, particularly the passion for sharing collective works, collective teachings through music. That for us is the pedagogical model. So thank you for having invited one of the orchestras so that today they can close such a valuable activity as the one you have organized. And I would like to share with you that in those small spaces that generate daily coexistences and the connection with the instrument, with the voice, with the teacher, essentially with the peers, in an orchestra, in a choir, nobody is on their own. And if somebody wants to shine more than the others, well, they're not going to be a good member of the orchestra. So, guided by the baton, they're going to accompany the children, and we think this is a right for them, and that's why we support these ideas throughout the country. So thank you again. I invite the orchestra conductor to present the orchestra. And on behalf of Master Spector and Steve, thank you for the invitation.
Y estamos muy contentos, queremos agradecer a CLAYSS y a los
a dar un aplauso de pie a los niños, niñas, jóvenes. Bien merecido este aplauso. Bien.
This is the moment as in those movies that has several endings. We still have more to go, so we are still getting ready for the best. But these are very nice feelings that I'm sure will be recorded and we can share them afterwards. Now we're going to ask Enrique Ochoa, the Executive Director, and Maria Nieves Tapia, the Founder and Director of CLAYSS, for final comments. I'm going to try and be very brief. 25 years, 25 conferences. It's a huge effort to organize this seminar, this conference. So your hugs, your words, your compliments are truly important for us. They make us feel like doing this once again. And after doing this virtually for a couple of years, now we had to go back to doing it in person. As Nieves said, even those of us that have been doing this for many years, we had a mixture of feelings and fears and anxiety, eagerness to see one another again. It has been fantastic. Despite a minor technical glitch, then the rest was fantastic. 500 people, over 2,000 views on YouTube. Organizing the agenda as a training, a quality training space. That is, we really wanted to have a quality training space for this. It's difficult. It's difficult not to be repeated year after year. We make a huge effort for that. Also, as a space to view, to visualize excellent practices and practitioners that work on this. That takes time. Apologies, I'm sure there will be some of you here on YouTube that may be thinking, I have a great experience. Why am I not there? I'm sure if it's not this year, it will be next year. So getting to this is, well, thanks to a huge working team. I always say this, CLAYSS has a group of 30 professionals that work every day, and then 20 or 25 more that work, okay, applause to them. So 25 more that work by supporting as remote tutors in the network of institutions, over 30 volunteers here and in other parts of the world. We have our partners also to do what we do. CLAYSS is celebrating its first 20 years with the leadership and vocation of our dear Nieves Tapia, with a great team of professionals and volunteers that have been with us, and many of them have been with us from the very beginning. Others are somewhere else, but they keep the CLAYSS brand. Even if are not at CLAYSS anymore, they still attend these conferences because we are a family. We love one another and we do this with love. We have hundreds of partners, colleagues, friends, and families with whom, through service learning, we try to change education, to change the world. It sounds, I mean, it has been said many times, but that is our intention. Some things turn out better, others are not. We are proud, happy to be part of this team, of this experience, and thank you for being here. Okay, so we're reaching the end of the 25th conference. In the first conferences, we were moved by and touched by listening to those first experiences we were learning about, and through them we were learning what service learning was about. And at the conferences, this was the place, the moment when we used to cry a lot. Now we are tougher, we don't cry in all the panels as we used to do, but well, now, yeah, there's some tears have come up out of my eyes looking at the children in the orchestra and seeing you here, staying here until the end. I would also like to be brief, and I would like to mention two things that two colleagues mentioned, two colleagues from this global family. Gojana Kulum from Croatia said the very first day that service learning is not magic. And those of us here know all the effort it takes, the dedication that these projects require. All the moments where we ask ourselves, why did we ever think of doing these complicated things? All those moments when it seems that nobody understands why we are making such a mess at school or at university. We all know what it implies, the difficulties it implies. We have empirical evidence that this is not magic, that this is the result of a lot of work, a lot of teaching vocation, and a lot of space for the children, the adolescents, the youth, the adults that are in our institutions of education or our social organizations can be the protagonists, to give them the space to believe they are capable of doing great things. And when they found the confidence of their teachers, they can become great musicians, great social builders, and all that does not happen just because. And thinking of all those things that are not magic and all the things that we do in order to do service learning, I would like to dedicate a minute, as somebody mentioned in their presentation. I would also like to thank our families. I would like to thank Alfredo, my husband, he's over there. Paula, my daughter, she's also there. My son Juan, well, he inherited the history teacher vocation of his mother. I don't know if he's here. There he is. Thank you, Alfred Pau Juan, for supporting me all the way when, you know, the old woman is crazy and working so hard. And this is not magic, all the huge work done by the great team at CLAYSS. You don't know how much I love each and every one of you. And it's always unfair to mention one name, but all the team at CLAYSS will understand me if I particularly say thank you to Lula. Lula, if I'm counting correctly, you've been in 22 of the 25 conferences, and none of these 23 latest conferences would have been possible without her. Lula is always threatening to retire every year, and we all expect that it will take a long time for her to retire and that she keeps being here with us. And I think that she represents what this team is all about, that puts their heart and their energy, their hands, their feet, whatever, for things to work. So it's not magic, But a few days ago at the Universidad meeting, Christiani, our colleague from Germany, from Eichstätt University, reminded us something that Borges, the Argentine writer, said. He said that the miracle is entitled to impose its conditions. And it's true that it's not magic, but it's also true that there's a miracle in service learning. The miracle of knowing that you can have a better education, that you can build a better world, that you can build a community of learning that is truly a community of brothers and sisters, a community of people that love one another deeply, even we are in different places of the world. The miracle of what happened to Maria Rosa with her students. She asked them the first day of class what were their emotions on the first course in person after the pandemic, and almost all the students said sadness. And then she involved them in a technology project at the service of community gardens for the elderly that are creating these gardens in their neighborhood. And at the end of the course, the common word, the majority word, was hope. We know that the miracle of moving from sadness to hope is possible and can impose its conditions. So thank you for making this miracle possible every day. See you in the next conference. But here, apologies, thank you for the applause, but here, if Kike is not here, if he were not here marking the timelines, I could stay talking for long. And as this is a birthday celebration, we're going to celebrate the 20 years of CLAYSS and the 25 years of the seminar of the conference with a cake. So I invite you to share the birthday cake, and the orchestra is going to help us sing one another the happy birthday. We asked all the CLAYSS team to come to the front for the cake. It was in the internal agenda. You should have known it.
Creen que es de juguete, dijo Lula, pero no creo. No creo.
Invitamos a que se queden porque vamos a
I invite you
compartir la
to
torta.
stay because we're going to share the cake.